Welcome to SLP235. During this review, we're going to talk about Module 1, the Introduction to the Practicum. So on your screen, you should be able to see some information regarding your practicum. There is a presentation that you'll need to go in and take a look at. And then within your read and review, there is also one with an audio recording. So please take a look at that. And then if you have any questions, join me during office hours for that. Within this module, you'll also locate the handbook and again, the field experience email, which you did receive in the Getting Started module as well. So the first thing you'll need to do is review the common employability skills and the employability standards. So these are things that employers in our field are looking for in their new hires. So you do need to remember that this is a professional allied health field. You will be interacting with a wider range of people over your years as an SLPA, and it's important for you to remain professional. And that also goes for your practicum intern location. So please make sure you present yourself professionally and that you adhere to professional guidelines while at your setting. The next page goes into a little bit more about professional workplace conduct. Some of the sites that we have students go to have different things that their site will review with you as well. So they may have particular dress code requirements or documentation requirements. So just things that might be specific to their location. But this is a general list of things that you should expect in all of our practicum locations. The next page, you will complete an assignment regarding the information that you just reviewed in that portion of the module regarding professional workplace conduct and the expectations. What do you feel are the 5 most important expectations in your view as you embark into this new career? So take a moment to complete that assignment and think about the things that you have professionally that are strengths, maybe some areas that you want to continue to develop, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. So you want to you want to continue to think about how you can improve your skills as you begin working as an SLPA. The next page goes through learning styles. So this is an opportunity for you to take a little bit of time and become become familiar with maybe your learning style and to be able to think about the learning styles of those that you'll be working with. So working within our field, you'll work with anybody from parents to paraprofessionals to other professionals, occupational therapists, physical therapists, different types of doctors or medical professionals, teachers that can be either general education or special education, social workers, counselors, school psychologists, you name it. There's a wide array of individuals that you will come into contact with and work with over the years on your teams. So this kind of helps you think about those different learning styles that people have and your own learning style and thinking about how that will help you interact with your future supervisor. So as an SLPA, you do work under the supervision of that SLP that you will be assigned to. You will have many supervisors over your career. They don't stay the same. So you do have to think about each time you get a new supervisor, what are the strengths you bring to the table? What is your learning style? What is their learning style? How would you like communication and feedback? How do they typically give communication and feedback? And find a happy medium for that. And know that with each supervisor, it might vary a little bit, but helping them to understand how you best learn will help you have a positive outcome with that supervisor. All right, so the next part of the module goes into how do you locate your SLP and a site. So many of our students do self-placements, and then we have some placements that are available through our Career and Transfer Center with field experience. So the assignment that you completed in the Getting Started module where you completed the website sign up indicates whether you already have a self-placement, if you're trying to get a placement within a district where we can assist you, or if you're continuing to look and you're just not kind of sure where you're going to go yet. So practicum, as I said a long time ago, if you participated in any of my orientations, practicum is individualized for each one of you. So your practicum is not going to look like anybody else's within the course. I've had people do 2 hours a week of practicum. I've had people do 35 hours a week of practicum. So it really depends on your flexibility, the flexibility of the site that you're trying to go to or that you do have availability to go to, and also thinking about all of the constraints that you bring and the constraints that a supervisor brings. So keep in mind that these sites are not controlled by Estrella Mountain Community Colleges or Maricopa. These are sites that they have their own things going on. So I've seen supervisors have an emergency medical leave, or I've seen supervisors leave and a new supervisor needing to come in. So things happen that are outside of our control, but we try to do the best we can to help every student have a really positive experience in this student teaching practicum experience. So if you want to get a jump and start looking for your own site, you're able to do that. So you don't have to wait for field experience to get a hold of you. You can go ahead and start looking and try and get that set up. So if you look here, there is an alternate sites list that has some of the clinics and places that have had our students before. We try to update this list all the time, but it's constantly changing. So if you call someone and they don't have availability right now, that, you know, that's okay. It changes all the time. So, you know, call, you know, leave a message, try to talk to somebody, but do know that sometimes they don't call you back real quick, especially if they don't have an opening. But it is okay for you to reach out to them again. Just don't call them and bug them every day. So if you made a call today, had to leave a message maybe with the secretary, and then you haven't heard from anybody and it's been about a week, that would be about an appropriate time to go ahead and reach out to them again to see if they're interested. So this has some talking points for how you might locate a practicum site if you want to call on your own. It gives you kind of some things of what you might say and how do you explain that to them. My contact information is on there so that you can pass that along to them. And there is also some other documents if they have questions about taking a practicum student that you could provide them. In addition, if they have questions, you can always refer them back to me. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody to help get that practicum set up once you've found somebody that may be interested in having a student. But again, many of the clinics, many of the home-based locations, school districts around the valley have had our students before. So this information isn't new, but it does give you a starting point. You can also Google and look in your area for speech-language pathology clinics, speech therapy providers. You know, do some different Google searches and look for places that employ speech-language pathologists, and then that would be a good place to go. So you can call other places that aren't on our list. And when you call them, the next page kind of gives you, actually there's a couple. There are your talking points that we just talked about. There is also a supervisor additional information sheet. So this talks about how many hours you need. It has the requirements. So if you found somebody who's interested in taking you as a student, it lets you know that they need to have the American Speech Language Hearing Association national certification. They need to hold a health services license in Arizona. And it does let you know that temporary or limited licenses are excluded. So if someone tells you they have a temporary license or they have a limited license, that isn't someone that you could have as a supervisor for the purposes of this program and receiving your certification or degree with us. Talks about the requirements. So if they're like, well, how many hours, what does it entail? That information is here for you. And there's a little bit more about supervision, what types of documentation they would have to do. In addition, there's that handbook that you got in the Getting Started module, and also earlier in this module in the Read and Review, that you can provide that supervisor so that they have additional information. So once you've found someone and you get set up, then you have to complete your SLPA supervision plan. So this is just an estimated plan. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's when you think you're going to be doing these hours based on your discussion with that supervisor. So who are you as the student? Who is the supervisor? What site are you going to be working at? When are you starting the assignment? When might you end the assignment? What days are you going to be there? And what times of day? Now, if this changes after a few weeks, you don't have to send me an update, but this is just your starting point of what you're thinking you're going to do for that. If you are going to be at more than one location, you can either put them both on here or fill out 2 separate pages and submit those. And then this is something that both you and your supervisor need to sign, because again, it's that supervision plan. They're agreeing to supervise you. They're agreeing to fill out the paperwork and requirements that you will need to be able to later get a license and for you to have completion of this course. So that for that one, you will need to get a signature. So back to our modules in Canvas. So we talked about the expectations, the learning styles. How do you try to locate that SLP? You're going to complete that document I just showed you with your kind of supervisor and site information and plan. And then you do need to upload a copy of their professional license, so that Arizona Department of Health Services license, and then their ASHA certification membership. So they can either give you a little membership card, they can get a verification form off of ASHA's website. So whatever verifies that they are a current ASHA member is what I need to see proof of. Now, the due dates for the things in this module 1 are flexible. So within this course, there are rough due dates in here, but everything after the Getting Started module does have some flexibility. So if you're not able to complete this by the date that is in your course and your module, that's not a problem. Just send me an email, let me know that you're still working on securing your site. And then once you have this information, then you'll go back and submit it, but you will not receive any penalty for any late assignments within this course. So within module 1, that kind of summarizes that introduction. How do you get started? So if you haven't already gotten started setting things up, it gives you a starting place for where you can now begin to do that. All right, so that concludes the review of module 1. I look forward to seeing you when we review module 2.